Chapter 478. In the resplendent street named after the legendary merchant Karl Lorbeck, one could easily feast their eyes on the most precious and beautiful items from across the continent. Some even referred to this place as a street of gold and silk. Either had little interest in the glittering necklaces displayed at the jewelers or the exquisite fabric with intricate embroidery, not to mention the expensive wares imported from foreign lands that graced the signs of renowned stores. All that held his gaze was Kishir Lahore, who was engaged in cheerful conversation with the merchants. Fashion has indeed changed quite a bit while I have been away. Yes, traditional formal wear embellished with multiple layers of fabric, embroidery, and gems have always been popular. However, lately, many people have been seeking a cleaner, brighter look, much like a white rose. Adding just a touch of colored gems to such an attire can actually make it more eye-catching than a dress laden with multiple colors. Take, for example, the dress worn by Baroness Cecile at Count Agente's charity party held not so long. The formal wear, the merchant pointed out, stood out from the others displayed around it. Amidst an array of flamboyant dresses created using a profusion of bold colors, this particular dress and robe were crafted entirely from different shades of white fabric, crowned by a single blue gem near the chest area, lending it an aura of majesty. Baroness Cecile became the talk of event by appearing with a blue ribbon at her waist that matched the gem on her chest. She received praise for being more beautiful than anyone else at the social gathering, all with just one gem and one ribbon, and that dress was prepared by our store. Excellent, you have quite the flair for fashion. Your words are too kind. The merchants beamed and nodded at Kishir's compliments. Do you have any more similar designs you can show me? Yes, of course. Please wait a moment. As they briefly busied themselves to present more examples of trending attire, Kishir playfully inquired of Yidhar. Do you remember what I said the last time there was a harvest party? Yidhar could guess where Kishir was going with this based on the dress designs they were looking at, and quietly replied, You said that we should look forward to the next trend in formal wear that suits your taste, spreading across the entire continent. See, I was right, wasn't I? Back then, Kishir had radically changed the formal attire for Yidhar and the rest of the cavalry unit. The use of almost exclusively white fabric in formal wear, normally a speculate of various colors, and the absence of any gems except for buttons and embroidery of gold and silver, was practically unheard of among the nobility. Such unconventional attempts were usually met with ridicule or avoidance, but not these outfits. Amidst the sea of other formal wears, they blended in while still maintaining a sense of luxury. Even when worn by all 300 members, they didn't appear ridiculous in the slightest. The dresses the merchant showed bore a striking resemblance to the ones the cavalry had worn. It was evident to anyone that the dresses were inspired from those outfits. To be honest, I'm surprised. I thought no one paid attention to our attire at the party. People always notice, even if it seems like they don't. That's how trends start. If the merchants could confidently declare it a trend, it meant more than just a few were wearing it. Kishir wasn't surprised. Even though they had not felt the influence of their own attire at several Western parties, he said it was only to be expected. All fashion trends in the empire start from Karl Lorbeck and the capital. It takes a few years for a trend that has just started here to spread throughout the empire. Is that so? Here, I have bought more of the clothes we talked about. At that moment, their conversation paused as merchants appeared carrying heavy-looking clothes and a pillar-like rack to display them. Kishir examined the garments, all deeply influenced by the traditional cavalry uniforms, with satisfaction. He then pointed to one and said he would place an order. Reduce the pleat width at the back of the skirt and remove the thin golden cloth on top. I intend to send it to the Dawn Palace, so don't be careless in your work. The Dawn Palace, you say? Upon hearing the name of the palace where the Empress resided, the merchants hesitated momentarily, as if they hadn't expected it, before asking for confirmation again. Yes, since I wasn't able to prepare a gift for Her Majesty the Empress in the West, I plan to do so here. Ideally, it would be something she can wear comfortably on regular basis. Also, create a matching hat, shoes, and socks and send a word to the cavalry. I see. Yes, you can count on us. Having secured the gift for the Empress, Kishir pretended to browse for other items before he suddenly spoke again. Come to think of it, are all these clothes with attached notes being prepared for the upcoming party? Yes, that's correct. There's quite a lot. It seems I'll have to wait a few weeks to receive the clothes I have ordered. Kishir's gaze briefly scanned the notes attached to the clothes. No, all the clothes here are in the final stages, so you won't have to wait long. We will finish them as quickly as possible. Don't worry. In that case, I trust you. I would like to buy these buttons and pins right now. Can you wrap them up for me? Of course. Kishir stepped out of the store after buying a set of silver pins with intricate patterns and gemstones designed for men's shirt cuffs. He handed them to Yudhir right away. Here you go. Didn't I tell you that what I got from Tenu was more than enough? Why didn't you buy more? Do you think one is enough? I'd need to buy at least 10 times more to ensure that those who know me won't find out our actions today suspicious. But still, to be honest, I couldn't help myself. As soon as I saw them, I thought they would suit you perfectly. Do you know how difficult it was to keep thinking that while we were talking? A shameless sense of delight radiated from his face like a light. Yudhir eventually sighed and accepted the items from Kishir. He already had so many things that he didn't know when he would get to use them all. Even if there was a reason for it, constantly receiving gifts alone could negatively affect the morale of the entire cavalry. However, Kishir wasn't the type to act without consideration, and more importantly, he seemed genuinely happy every time he gave him something. That made it hard for him to strongly refuse. The situation now felt different compared to when Yudhir was pretending to be his lover in Tenu and was showered with gifts. Although the circumstances were similar, the atmosphere between them had changed. Their relationship had evolved, which probably explained why the same actions now felt both more delightful and more complicated. In the course of executing the Emperor's orders and also in preparation for the upcoming party, they had already visited several shops of Karl Lorvik Street. Though they moved about alone without any attendants, their presence wasn't overly conspicuous. The street was a common place for nobles to stroll and shop for pleasure. Of course, there were nobles who recognized Kishir's striking appearance and paused to greet him. The merchants put in extra effort, hoping to earn a bit more of the wealthy Duke of Paleta's coin, but that was it. People simply assumed that the profligate Duke had returned to the capital to splurge once again, and they regarded Yudhir, who accompanied him, as nothing more than his knight or a servant. This was possible because Yudhir's face was not yet well known to the public. So, what do you think of this store? Yudhir asked. I noticed quite a few names of families related to the Diarka faction among those who have ordered clothes for the party, Kishir said, smiling. I thought they would despise our local fashions, but apparently that's not the case. Each time they entered a store, Kishir would make an order and engage the merchants in conversation related to the upcoming party, subtly gathering information about the event's preparations and the merchants' clients. He was so adept at subtly steering the conversation that the merchants failed to realize their client information was being scrutinized. Now that I have a fair idea of who will be attending, let's go find out some real details, Kishir suggested. Where are you planning to go next? Yudhir inquired. There is a place favored by the Diarka family for generations, for tailoring and purchases. I intend to visit there. The place he referred to was Duffield, a store that occupied one of the largest and most extravagant buildings on Karl Lorvik Street.